Bye. Good afternoon, profitable traders. Welcome to the New York market color session. For this segment, I will be analyzing the DXY, GBP, USD, and Euro USD. Right after that, my colleague Lekon coming up for his analysis on gold and the yen basket. So this is just going to be a recap of everything that was said during the London market color session. If you have questions during the course of this analysis, or if you have a totally different outlook from what we'll be analyzing, please do well to type in the chat box, and we will be looking at what you're saying together. I'd like to prove our indulgence, kindly share the link to this session with everyone on our various social media platforms, so that you can get to as many people as possible, and they can get to participate in what we have ongoing here. So starting off with the DXY, we'll just be looking at what was analyzed and what the market did. So on the one-day time frame, overall, a bullish move, but then we saw a sweep of this liquidity all the way to the downside. And on the weekly time frame also, we're seeing a bearish direction in the market. So right here, long term, there's classic box pattern, shoulder at 108.169, sweep to the upside, break to the downside. All we want to see price do is for price to retreat right back into this left shoulder. And once price retreats right back into the left shoulder, and really need to sell off the DXY. Long term, of course, this is long term. And on daily time frame for DXY, we actually saw a box pattern strategy for a sell, but then looking at what price has done, there's actually been a box pattern failure, right? Price was supposed to react off the left shoulder at 99.071, traded into that zone, reacted a bit, but what we're seeing is quite an anomaly, right? So where do I think price wants to trade into? There's another block on the daily time frame that price is most likely to trade into right here. The other block at 102.870 on the daily time frame. Coming down to the 4-hour time frame, let's see what price is doing. Price is just moving upwards. Bullish move on the 4-hour time frame. So fibbing this most recent swing from point A to point B, we want to see price retracing to 61.8% fib level, and subsequently into this other block, the other block residing at this price point, 98.963 on the 4-hour time frame. So I expect to see some retracement into this level before the continuation of the buy on DXY. And narrowing down to the 1-hour time frame, let's see what price is doing. Pretty much the same thing. We may see price tracing all the way into 61.8% fib level, where resistance will most likely turn into support before the continuation of the buy on DXY. On the 15-minute time frame, I want to spot an entry. If there's an entry based on the classic box pattern that we usually use for entry here, I can't spot anyone yet. And on the 5-minute time frame, let's see if there's something that that has played out. Okay, there's one right here, shoulder at 99.298. There's a sweep right here. There's a break to the upside, and price traded right back into this zone. And after trading right back into this zone, we're seeing moves to the upside. We're seeing moves to the upside. This has already left us, so we could be looking out for other entries for the buy of the DXY. So if you have questions at this point, you can type in the chat box. On the monthly time frame for DXY, right? Overall, we're seeing bearish moves, but coming right here to see the recent price action, we're seeing price moving even higher, forming higher highs and higher lows right here, and price is presently at a premium level. And of course, at premium, we're interested in selling just the retracement. We just want to catch the retracement on monthly time frame. We're coming down to the weekly time frame also. In the weekly time frame, overall, you've been seeing bullish moves. And of course, establishing a direction is to the upside. I can actually spot classic box pattern in alignment with that direction. Shoulder at 1.24725, sweep to the downside, break to the upside. What we want to see is for price to return right back into this left shoulder at 1.24725 on the weekly time frame. Narrowing down to the daily time frame also has been a box pattern failure. We're expecting to see a reaction once price retraces right back into this left shoulder, but instead price disregarded it and kept selling all the way to the downside. Where do I think price wants to trade into? There is a low right here at 1.31650 that price should most likely clear on the daily time frame. And coming down to the 4-hour time frame, let's see what price has for us. So earlier this morning, we speculated that we wanted to see price retrieve right back into this 4-hour order block right here. Let's see price trace into this 4-hour order block residing at 1.33709, but that hasn't happened yet. We're just seeing more push to the downside. So for me to want to take the sell of GBP USD, I need to see price retrace into a premium level because we always want to sell high and buy low. So I'm going to wait for this retracement to take place before taking opportunities in the market. And on the 1-hour time frame too, pretty much the same thing. We want to see price retracing right back into this price point, 1.33709. And once that happens, let's believe I will be shorting GBP USD. And on the 15 minutes time frame, let's see if we can spot any entry based on the box strategy. This is not so clear right here. Shoulder at 1.3308, 1.33804, I beg your pardon. So once price retraces into this level, I am taking the sell of GBP USD. Last on my list being Euro USD. The monthly time frame for Euro USD, we've seen a sweep of this liquidity right here, all the way to the upside. And on the weekly time frame, price is at premium. We want to see price sell off. And where do I want to sell off into? This very left shoulder at 1.06652 is where I'm interested in selling Euro USD. Coming down to the daily time frame also, price is presently sitting at this left shoulder at 1.15769. If all things being equal, we expect some reaction of that level to the upside. But if that doesn't happen, there's going to be a box pattern failure, and price will most likely clear the low at 1.14004 on daily time frame. Coming down to the 4-hour time frame, on the 4-hour time frame, price is just breaking lower. We've not seen any break of structure that will make us change our bias from a sell to a buy. Price is just breaking even lower. And earlier this morning, we were speculating and looking out for price to, purchase all the way to 61.8% fib level, coinciding with the other block at 1.16131 price level. We haven't seen that retracement happening yet. We just saw price tap into this other block, and we're seeing a reaction of that level. Coming down to the 1-hour time frame, also, pretty much we want to see price retracing to 61.6% fib level, coinciding with another block also at 1.16133, and that hasn't happened yet. On 5 minutes time frame, let's see if there's an entry right here. So there's a shoulder at this level, 1.15792. There's a sweep, a break, and price was meant to, trade right back into the left shoulder at 1.15792, but it just tapped into this fair value gap right here, and we're seeing more push to the downside. So I haven't seen any entry yet for Euro USD and GBP USD. Once that happens, best believe we'll be calling out the trade on our Telegram group. Please, if you have questions at this point, kindly type in the chat box. If you have a different bias, please type in the chat box. There are no questions. We'll be going on a very brief break, and we'll be coming back for the second segment of today's session.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Market Color brought to you by the Value Flow Trading Team. Today being Friday, the last trading day of the week. All right, that was an insightful analysis from Cynthia. So let's move on. What exactly do we have on the precious metal right now for the New York session to round up the trading week? If you look at it from the weekly time frame, we've been very bullish all through this week as the precious metal really, tap into our projected all-time high, which is the 4,000 level. And yet, after tapping into the projected high, which is the 4,000 level, we've not really seen a significant pullback so far. Instead, price has just been a bit in a consolidation, which we may likely see that last into next week before we see the next break to either upside or downside. But most especially, we expect to see more of break to the downside because of the move that we have currently now. Now, on the 4-hour time frame for the precious metal, you are going to observe, yes, we've not really seen a clear market structure shift as price is still very much within this last swing to the upside, and this low is still very much uh, very strong for price to break. We see how price has been bouncing off that particular low since yesterday, October the 9th of 2025. All right. Now, where exactly are we heading to moving forward? Two things happen. We have a level, which is this order block that we have on the 4-hour time frame. There's a probability when price retraces into that zone, we are most likely going to see a reaction to the downside because of the current levels that price already traded into, which is the 4,000 level. So we expect some level of pullback, knowing fully well this week we expect a pullback before this long to the 4,000 level. But if the long happened first, then we should wait for price to pull back. So what is our bias moving forward right now for the precious metal? Is simply price doing something like this, then we see it begin to pull all the way back to this zone that we expect price to get into for this week. And when price get there, we are most likely going to see it take out this liquidity at this low here. So we have something of this nature, and then we begin to see price start moving all the way back to the upside. All right. So this is the outlook that we have right now. But what is the now trade going on the precious metal? If you look at it after the massive sell-off yesterday being the Thursday, we see how that price really tapped again into the all-time high at the New York session, open up New York session, and we see all throughout the New York section it was very, very bearish all the way to the downside. But this morning we've been expecting how that price is most likely going to retrace all the way into this 15-minute order block, and this is more of a flip zone. When price get to this flip zone, then we want to see it pull all the way back to the downside. But we see how the price get to the flip zone and reacted all the way down. But the momentum is not really pushing that much. And we know why. There's high probability because today being Friday and we've not really seen enough news event related to the precious metal to push price all the way to the downside. However, on the 5 minute time frame, if you trade a lower time frame, we are going to observe, yes, we now have something more like a market structure shift. If you look at what we have right now on the 5 minute time frame, we are going to observe this is the last high, and we've seen the sweep of liquidity here. And right now, we've seen how that price broke structure to the downside. But the concern is how that price, consolidate first before taking out this low. Then that is telling us that the buy momentum is still very much in place. But if we want to look for opportunity to sell, then that means until price come all the way to take out this particular liquidity level, then that is when we are going to see. If we see our sell signature there, then we can easily begin to follow through to the downside for the precious metal. All right, let's quickly get to Japan to see what is going on with the yen basket, and from there we interpret it on the other yen correlated pair. Foreign basket as analyzed at the beginning of the week on Monday, we expect that we want to see this week to be a very bearish week for the yen. As we all know, for this month of October, we want to see a sell to buy, meaning the yen basket trading into this weekly reference point, and that is exactly where price came into, because we've been expecting that for a very long time now. And we can see how that price traded into the weekly reference, and we want to begin to see the buy all the way back up. Now, since price traded into that level yesterday, let's go to our daily time frame to see what exactly is happening. On the daily time frame, we've seen that after price traded into that zone, we've not really seen a full momentum, but this morning we begin to see how that the yen is gradually pushing all the way to the upside. So what do we have moving up next for the yen basket? We expect a trade all the way back to the upside, because this is going to be a long-term buy for the yen basket, because price just traded into our expected levels, so that we begin to short the yen correlated pair. But right now, what exactly are we heading to? We won't just see price jump all the way to this top here. So we have this order block being marked out for the yen basket, that when price get to this order block, there's high tendency we see reaction, a bit to the downside, then continuation to the upside again for the yen basket. So since that is our outlook on the yen basket, let's interpret that on the yen correlated pair, particularly GBP JPY. For GBP JPY, if you look at it from the weekly time frame, we've seen how that price has now really tapped into the high very well. And this reference point we expect price to get into and begin to see the sell. We see how that the market open with a jump, just the way we analyzed earlier on. And on the daily time frame, we've seen the signature that's already formed on the daily time frame, which is this bearish engulfing on the daily time frame, telling us today is going to be a sell day, and that is what we've seen happening since morning. And into next week, we may only see a pullback a bit next week, but we are going to discover that on the lower time frame. Let's start from the 4-hour time frame. So for next week, today into next week, we are most likely going to see a little bit retracement of price into this 4-hour order block. And when price is into this 4-hour order block, what we are looking forward to do is we want to continue our short of the precious metal at this particular point. And if you look at it from the length of the 1-hour time frame, we are going to observe we have our clean and clear structure on the 1-hour time frame. We have our shoulder at this point, and we've seen the break to the downside. So when price get to this shoulder level, which correlates with the 4-hour order block, then we can begin to short GBP JPY to the downside. But where price is currently now, we won't be able to short right now, except for the fact that the asset is going to be a very wild one. So moving forward for next week, this is our buyers. for GBP JPY. We'll be looking out for price to at most come all the way to take out liquidity at this point, and we are going to begin the short of GBP JPY. So we have something like this for next week moving forward. So we have something similar to this for next week on the GBP JPY with our SL just about 50 pips somewhere at the top here, and we are targeting our 1:4 or 1:5. But this is the kind of trade that you may want to swing because of the current happening on the yen basket. So lastly, before we call it a day for Euro JPY, let's quickly take a look at Euro JPY. What exactly is going on Euro JPY? For Euro JPY, we have similar thing playing out on the Euro JPY pair. As we've seen, this is the shoulder here, and we have a very much more clear structure as Euro JPY seems to be the most preferred to take trade on currently now. We've seen our shoulder at this particular point for Euro JPY, and since the shoulder is just here, we also have a confluence, which is the order block inside of that particular level too. So we expect the price to pull all the way back and take out. We also have liquidity at this point. So we have enough confluence for Euro JPY sell as against the GBP JPY sell. All right. So this is for Euro JPY. We're expecting price to come all the way to this particular zone, and we are going to begin the short of Euro JPY all the way to the downside. So we have something of this nature, just also less than 50 pips, and we are going to trade it all the way, of which our first TP is going to be for price to come and cover up this gap that we have here. And for next week on all yen correlated pair, we are expecting next week to be a bearish week for the yen correlated pair because of the weekly open that we have this week, which was not filled at all on most major pair for GBP JPY, for Euro JPY, and even on the USD JPY. And right now, what is the now trade for this New York session on GBP JPY? For GBP Euro JPY, this is the now trade that we have for Euro JPY happens sometimes 2 minutes in the morning, as we already have our shoulder somewhere here, a very tiny one, and price came to take out liquidity built during the Asian session and all the way to the downside. But right now, there is no entry anymore for Euro JPY right away now. So it's much more preferred for us to wait until we see the entry signature, either later in the New York session or by Monday at the London session for the beginning opening of the week, so that we continue the short of Euro JPY. If there is any question, you can easily type in the chat box before we call it a day. Someone says, should I close my sell on GPY I took this morning so price didn't trace against me? So great. If you do that this morning, then that's a great one for GPY. Let's quickly look at it right now, because remember what we have right now, as price is still even digging to the downside. So that's a very sweet one. For GPY, we saw this across all GBP pairs this morning. The entry signature for itself, as is also a yen play, but at the same time it happens most on across all GBP pair. So this is the shoulder, and price came to tap into it for itself. We are going to see the signature across all the pairs. So it's a GBP play. You see, this is the shoulder. We see the break, very clean and clear one. This is a very sweet boss pattern here. And as price came to tap into that zone at around 9 a.m. this morning, we see the entry signature, which is this bearish engulfing, and it delivers all the way to the downside. So if you are still in the sell of GPJPY, two things you are most likely going to is either you break even or you allow it to get to wherever you put your take profit. But where price is now, there is high tendency we see some level of pullback to the upside, because this is a new swing if you look at it from the 1 hour time frame. You see, this is a new swing from the 1 hour time frame. So there's most likely we are going to see a pullback to the upside again. As a matter of fact, the reason why price is stalling at this point is because of this reference that we have here as a very clean boss pattern here, even though it's not really very big, but you are going to see this is where what price is currently reacting to, that shoulder around that level. This particular shoulder here is what price is reacting to. So if you want to offload some of your position, you can, and if you want to hold it for price to keep selling, you can also hold it, as much as we are still expecting price to come all the way here. But make sure your SL is somewhere far above this level here, or most preferably your SL should be at this top if you really want to swing the trade for that long. All right, because price is still definitely coming to fill this gap that we have at the opening of the week. All right, if there's no further question, that is going to be the end of the market color brought to you by the Value Flow Trading team. Make sure you trade cautiously and use your proper risk management strategy. Till we meet again on Monday, I'm Lekon Shemiches, and God bless.